So welcome back to another OrcaPod interview, and today we are very kindly joined by Ella Garrud from the Sussex Wildlife Trust, who, as I understand it, you're a Living Seas officer and a Communities and Wildlife officer for the Wild Coast Sussex project. Nearly got through it all in one go. So Ella, thank you very much for joining us and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem
Nice,
at all.
nice.
Can you, there's obviously a couple of roles there. Can you divulge a bit into the work that you do with Sussex Wildlife Trust and the Living Coast project as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I work full time for the trust, but yeah, like you said, I've got two different jobs. One of which is the Living Seas officer, so I do that 2 days a week as part of a job share. And as part of that, I help run the Shore Search and Sea Search citizen science research projects. And we do all sorts of different things, basically anything to do with the marine environment that crops up in Sussex. So we do lots of stakeholder engagement, policy work, such as like responding to consultations, do lots of public engagement as well. It's a really varied, interesting role.
Yeah.
Like I'm out a lot on the coast and a bit of desk work, which, is fine. But obviously I'd much prefer being out in the field.
Absolutely.
And then my second job I do 3 days a week, and that is, like you said, I'm a Communities and Wildlife Officer for the Wild Coast Sussex project. So Wild Coast Sussex is a lottery heritage funded project, and it's a community engagement project that works up and down the Sussex coast to inspire local communities about their local marine life, basically.
Cool.
The marine life and habitats, getting them in, caring about it so that they hopefully in turn will help protect it as well. So I work with primary schools as part of that, running what we called Wild Beach, which is essentially like forest school but taken to the coast.
Cool.
So it's that sort of child-centred learning, doing lots of sort of like experiential play and games and all sorts of fun stuff like rock pooling, beach cleans, strandline scavenger hunts to get the kids involved and interested in the marine habitats and wildlife, basically. It's great.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it sounds like the best job ever. So
I do really love it.
with all of that you're going on with your day-to-day job, how did you get into this industry? Like, what's your background to be doing that role?
Yeah, so I have a bit of an unorthodox route into it, I guess. My undergraduate degree was actually in art and design, so I come from an arts background.
Cool.
And then when I graduated from uni, I wanted to go travelling, and because I hadn't taken a gap year before uni. And then I went to South Africa and I volunteered with a marine conservation project there called the Orca Foundation. So I was helping to monitor cetacean populations in a marine protected area there. And I learnt to dive when I was there. And it basically just completely, like, I'd always loved the sea, I'd always loved the ocean, but I never saw myself as I never really enjoyed science at school, let's say. But yeah, doing that project and learning to dive basically kind of completely blew my mind, really, and like opened up this whole new world to me.
Yeah.
Sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? But it's true. Like, seeing what's actually underneath the waves, I was just kind of like, how have I not known about this before? So I kind of decided after that I wanted to make a bit of a career change. Well, a big career change, I guess. And I did a lot of volunteering. I did my dive master, PADI dive master qualification in Bali, which was amazing. And then I found a master's course at the University of York that didn't require you to have a science degree, because I thought I was going to have to go back to university, well, maybe even back to A-levels and sort of do biology, marine biology. Anyway, I found this course and they just needed you to have a degree in anything and some experience in the field, which I had, and obviously this sort of, passion and interest and knowledge and whatever. I got onto that and did a year's master's in marine environmental management at the Uni of York, which was great. I mean, it was a massive learning curve for me. I hadn't done sort of stats or ever really. I was kind of, we were learning R, all the coding stats program, and it was awful.
It's a deep thing to learn.
And then but it was great. I loved it. I had a fantastic year, and then I've sort of worked abroad quite a lot since then. So I worked in Madagascar and the Seychelles, and then when I finished there, I sort of wanted to end up in the UK. And you know, the UK marine environment is so special and spectacular in its own right, and I think a lot of people don't know that. But I really wanted to get a job in the UK within, you know, marine conservation. And so what did I do? I ended up volunteering with Yorkshire Wildlife Trust. I'm from Sheffield, so I went back to live with my parents, and I'm very lucky to have been able to do that, which helped a lot because I was able to do this traineeship with Yorkshire Wildlife Trust. And then I got a job here. So it's been a bit of a long and winding path, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and yeah.
I was going to say a very interesting and varied one.
I found that with everyone we've spoken to and sort of how did you get into this industry, everyone seems to say a really convoluted way of getting in. No one's just gone straight in with their degree, or
which is quite nice because it means we've all got a bit more depth to our backgrounds in terms of how we've got here. Because I feel like certain roles where, I don't know, for example, medical sciences or biomed, you study that and then you go into be a paramedic or to go into like nursing or whatever. Whereas for us, it's a little bit more legwork involved to get up into the industry, but it almost it benefits you as a person because you've got a bit more of life experience behind you before you get into like almost.
I think so. And I guess people always think you have to take this really direct route. You need to know what you you choose your A levels when you're like 16 or young. 16, which is so young. But it doesn't mean you can't then find a way in if you really want to. And it is quite a tough field to get into. You know, it's, as I'm sure you guys know as well.
Ooh, yes.
Not that many jobs. Lots of people want to do them, but I guess stuck at it until
you got it.
Managed to get a job.
What were you doing in Madagascar?
So I was working for I won't mention the name of it, but one of those pay to volunteer places. So I was staff, so I wasn't one of the paying volunteers, but so I was there running the dive surveys. So one of the marine officers, basically. So not training people to dive. I'm not a dive instructor, but then once qualified divers, training them up in scientific diving techniques and doing coral and fish surveys, which was incredible. Like I was there for 6 months, living on an island off the coast of Madagascar on a research camp with no electricity, in a little wooden hut on stilts. As the tide would come in at like spring high tide, it would flood the camp, which was interesting. So our little huts were like on stilts.
Was that on Nosy Bay by any chance?
It was, yes.
With a organisation beginning with F.
Yes. Which I think they have now dissolved. I
have they?
Them. Yeah. And they seem to have disappeared off the internet. So
interesting. Because a friend of mine went to that exact camp in 2012, I think, and she had some issue. Like had a great time, but there was some issues. But I think we've spoken about it before because I was with Blue Ventures down in the south, just off the Toliara, and we were doing exactly the same thing. The dive surveys, and it's still the most beautiful country I've ever visited. It's fantastic.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, my day-to-day life I absolutely loved, like doing 2 dives a day sometimes, you know. And I actually really enjoyed having no electricity. Like you just woke up with the sun, went to bed with the sun. It was great, and it was an interesting experience in some ways because of the company, but I won't go into the negative.
We'll leave that one there.
I feel like it'd be strange going back now because the place we stayed at, they had, I think it was electricity twice a day in the morning and evening, so that they could run but they had the generator, so it was fine. It was on diesel, but I think they've got Wi-Fi now and constant electricity. I'm not sure it'd be the same experience going back, but I think to get a text home, I'd have to go to the top of the sand dune behind the hut and like wave the phone around trying to find signal.
That's interesting. Funnily enough, we had really good mobile signal.
Oh.
So if you could buy like data packages for your phone, you could like do a video call
Oh wow.
home. As long as you had battery, because obviously there was nowhere to charge it. But lots of people
True.
had like, solar powered phone chargers and stuff, which worked really well. And we had to go to the main town on the weekends, which was inaccessible by foot, so we had to take a boat.
Oh wow.
And go to like a cafe and charge a
Ah.
phone there.
Redstone charges, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Cool.
So obviously you said you alluded a bit into your work with the Wild Coast Sussex project. Can you let us know a little bit more about the work you do and what the Sussex Wildlife Trust do as well in the general community area?
Yeah. So Sussex Wildlife Trust, we're one of 46 individual wildlife trusts. So all the wildlife trusts are like separate individual charities. We've got the overarching the Wildlife Trusts, who are sort of like the umbrella organisation. But yeah, we're all separate charities in our own right, but obviously we do collaborate. So yeah, we're a conservation charity working to protect and restore nature across Sussex, basically, in like, the terrestrial environment in towns and obviously the coast as well, which is what I do. Hoping to make Sussex a place where people and wildlife can thrive together. Got a strapline there for you.
All the buzzwords.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
So it's obviously the Wildlife Trust National Marine Week this week and last week, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Confusing name,
2 weeks.
National Marine Week.
Yeah.
But it's 2 weeks to kind of encompass like the range of tides all across the country to make sure things can go on.
Clever.
Have you? We've just done a beach clean to do our little bit here at Aqua, but what have you guys been doing for that?
Excellent. Well, we've been pushing out lots of engaging content online. It's also been Plastic Free July as well, so that's the Marine Conservation Society campaign. But as part of Wild Coast Sussex, we're a partnership project. One of our partners is Marine Conservation Society. So we've been posting about sort of combining National Marine Week and Plastic Free July. We've also had one of our shore search surveys happening today. Sadly, I wasn't on it this time, but my colleague Sarah was out running that today in Chelsea. So I think I mentioned shore search and sea search are the two citizen science projects that we have. And shore search is sort of the intertidal survey. So basically rock pooling with volunteers, and they come along and we record all the species that we find. So Chelsea today, it's part of one of the MCZs, the Marine Conservation Zones in Sussex. So hopefully, I haven't heard from Sarah yet, but I'm sure it's gone really well.
Fingers crossed. Lovely day for it. It's been really nice down there. So
yeah, I know. I'm quite jealous, really.
Wouldn't mind being out rock pooling for the afternoon. That'd be lovely.
Wouldn't mind doing a sea search dive today.
Yeah.
Water's probably really warm now, actually.
Yeah, I think it's getting up to like 19 here at the moment.
Wow, that's
19
warm.
degrees. Yeah.
Impressive. So obviously we first met you at the Ocean Symposium in Hastings in last October. It feels almost longer than that, doesn't it?
I know, it feels ages ago.
It feels almost like it was
It's
20.
weird, isn't it? Yeah.
And obviously you were heavily involved with the event last year. Are you back involved with it again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're organising the next one. So this year's event's going to be on Saturday the 19th of November, this time in Bexhill. And yeah, it's going to be a great event. Hopefully bigger this time. Last year we were a bit, being a little bit cautious because of COVID still. The venue wasn't massive, but we still had, we were sold out. And this year, got a bigger venue, and we're hopefully going to have a little sort of room for like a little exhibition with stalls and stuff from, local organisations. It's going to be really good.
Cool.
So yeah, I think last year we were like, the focus was like, think global, act local.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
And we're sort of similarly this year we're having like local speakers talking about local issues, projects and research and things, but also having some interesting international speakers again, which will be interesting, kind of puts the global context, the local work into sort of a global context of what's going on in marine conservation sort of around the world really. But yeah, our strapline for this year is empowering communities for ocean action. So
I like it.
Nothing's super confirmed yet, but obviously once we've got more details, we will be pushing that out.
Yeah,
It's going to be a good event, I think.
great. Yeah, we loved it last year. We thought it was really. I think it was one of my favourite ones that I attended last year.
Yeah, it was really good fun.
Yeah, well, are you going to do like the hybrid thing again then with like remote and?
That is the plan, yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
'Cause you had
As long as everything goes well, yes, we'll be streaming online too.
Because it had quite a big reach last time, didn't it? You had people from all over joining.
Yeah, I think the furthest away place was Thailand, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not sure what the time difference was there, but that was quite dedicated.
Committed.
Yeah.
You know, it was really good actually. I did enjoy it, but yeah, hopefully we'll be there this year. I think we are. So we've already talked a little bit about diving, and we know you're a keen diver and stuff. But what is the best dive that you've been on? The most memorable?
Oh, that is a really good question. I mean, I've got loads of amazing.
Oh, don't rub it in.
Really great diving. tropical places. I think one of the best dives. As I worked in the Seychelles for a year, and my parents came over to visit me, and my dad had learnt to dive as a surprise, so that he would come diving with me, which is like, it was so cute. So we went on a few different dive trips together when he was here, when he was there even. And one of the best dives, it was just like crystal clear visibility, fish everywhere. It was like you were in an aquarium. We saw like 4 turtles, a shark.
Oh, lovely.
We were with some healthy corals in the Seychelles, particularly around like the main island. There's quite a lot of coral bleaching that's happened. But yeah, we were on this reef that was really healthy, and it was just incredible. But also not to like miss out the UK. Did some really good diving in St Abbs in Scotland.
Oh, nice.
There's this one dive like through the kelp forests. Saw an octopus and a few nudibranchs, and there was like carpets of like brittle stars on the seabed. It was just really atmospheric. Like the visibility was quite good. Good for this country, I think.
Yeah.
maybe like over 10 meters.
That's good.
And it was just sort of like the light coming through the kelp forest, and octopus are one of my favourite things to see. And I was just like, yes. And I saw it, and I was trying to like get everyone else's attention, like, come and see the octopus.
Yeah.
Obviously it's difficult sometimes when people have swam
Looking
off
at
in the
something
opposite
else.
direction, and like trying to get their attention by banging a rock or something.
Yeah.
Come and see the octopus. But yeah, that was awesome.
Brilliant.
It's cool.
It's a really good point actually. When you think of what's the coolest dive you've been on, you always go sort of tropical or overseas, don't you? But there is so much cool marine life to see in the UK as well.
I've always
there really
diving in
is.
Scotland.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal, and North Wales as well. Actually, like where I was based up for uni, there was a lot of good diving around there. I've still yet to dive in the UK.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I've
God.
135 log dives and never once in the UK.
Wow.
I'm determined to change that this summer though.
Yeah, we've got.
I know. I mean, I've not. So I moved to Sussex in January 2020 to start this job, and obviously my plan was to dive here, and then COVID hit, so wasn't able to, and I just haven't got myself into gear yet. Because I've got all my own stuff. I just need to get it serviced.
Yeah.
But yeah, not dived in Sussex yet, which is terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've been threatening.
Yeah.
My father's got an old colleague from work who lives just around the corner from here, and he's either an instructor or a dive master, like the top level dive master, but he keeps on threatening, "Oh, just let me know, and we'll go for a dive." And I keep forgetting because Ryan keeps on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll go for Sea Search and we'll go for Celsi, and then he's otherwise engaged.
He's always busy.
Family stuff. So I need to get that go. I need to do the same actually. Get my stuff serviced, because I think I can use it straight away, but probably better if you're breathing through it to get it checked out after.
Yeah, I mean it's the
years of not
thing
being
that's
used.
keeping you alive under there, isn't it? So I think it's
Pretty
pretty
worth the
important.
service. Yeah.
So I guess obviously we've asked you your best dive. I guess it befalls to me to ask what's unfortunately the perhaps least enjoyable dive you've gone through.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I think probably when I was doing my dive master training in Bali, amazing diving, absolutely incredible. Like saw manta rays for the first time there, which was amazing, and like so much just so much life, lots of turtles. But there was this one particular site which was like a wall dive.
Okay.
And the currents can be really, really, really strong there. So it was one of my I was leading the dive. Luckily it was with other dive master trainees. But we were, going along the wall one way. We'd just turned around to sort of make our way back to the boat. And there'd been no current at all. It was beautiful, really clear. And then suddenly this current hit just out of nowhere. And it was like so it was going against us and it was dragging us down.
Oh.
And obviously a wall dive, you've got the wall and then you look down and it's just black because it just keeps going. And it was so strong. We were literally having to like claw ourselves up the reef with our hands because it was so strong.
My gosh.
And like you could feel like the hose from your regulator just like being pulled like by the current. And I turned around to make sure that everyone in the group was okay. And I noticed one of my fellow trainees, his tank had come loose from his BCD and it started to float. Obviously it was still attached. Like none of the hoses had come out or anything, but it was like floating above his head and he hadn't noticed. So I was like, oh my God. No. So I had to swim back, get it down, strap it back in. And in that time we'd been pulled further back and down. It was just so stressful. It was awful. But we managed to get back. Nobody died.
That's important.
That sounds horrible.
It was really stressful, yeah.
I don't think I want to do that.
I was just like, well, no, I'm good.
I know, there was a qualified instructor. I mean, obviously, we were all qualified divers, obviously, but we were as part of our dive master traineeship, and there was an instructor with us as well. But you get back to the boat, and obviously in that kind of current, you're swimming really hard, and your air. I kept checking my air, and it's just going down so quickly because you're just breathing really fast and heavily, and that was not great.
Doesn't sound it. It sounds horrible.
Not at all.
Have you ever been cave diving? I'd love to do that, but isn't that meant to be really dangerous as well? Have you done?
I've never done it. The closest I've been, I went into a cave structure in Greece, but you accessed it from open water, and it just kind of went in, and you went round a corner, and it was pitch black, and that was quite cool. But I knew that I just had to look for the light and then go out, and it was wide open. I don't think I'd ever go into a cave system inland to do it. I'm not claustrophobic, but that's a step too far.
No, I've never done it, and obviously I think there's extra training if you're doing like proper cave diving. There's lots of training you have to do, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not. It doesn't massively appeal to me, to be honest, because unless there was something really special to go and see, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
that,
a lot of people like the technicality of actually doing it rather than using a dive to go and see something. Whereas
exactly.
I don't know, I'd much prefer to go somewhere open and just enjoy what I can see in the water.
Definitely. Because I do it to see the marine wildlife. I don't do it because it's like an extreme sport and I want to push the limits or anything. It's just like
to see some rays here and there and what's hanging around.
Exactly. So done some cool wreck dives. Never like anything, because again you've got to train, do special diving qualifications if it's like a proper, I guess similar to cave diving in that you've only got one in and like entry and exit point. But I've done. There's a really cool wreck in Bali. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's a massive World War II ship, like I don't know, battleship maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. It's huge. So it's like one part of it, because it's so big and it's like on a slope. One part of it's you can snorkel on it because it's at like 4 or 5 meters depth.
Okay. And
then the other side is down at like 30 meters. So it's just really cool. And there's like different swim throughs. You can see the what do you call the wheel of a boat?
The bridge where you've got the
not the steering wheel, but
I think
what's it called?
I think it's just the wheel, the helm.
The helm, take the helm. That's what I say.
That bit, you can see that, and it's very cool. And obviously you get so much life going on.
Of course,
don't you? Yeah.
At least that's a benefit of all those lost planes and ships being shot down over the years. At least it's giving wildlife a substrate to live on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A positive.
Take one thing from it. So you've talked about sea search, and obviously that's something that we're all interested in, and it would just be nice to hear a little bit more about that, and also shore search, which I wasn't aware of until right now, which sounds pretty cool. So can you tell us a little bit about that, and maybe what happens and how you can get involved in the scheme?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with Sea Search. Sea Search is a citizen science project, as I mentioned already, that involves getting volunteers out to dive and do surveys of the different habitats and species you find. And it's nationally, it's run by the Marine Conservation Society, but then they've got regional coordinators. So myself and Sarah, who I job share with, we're the Sussex Sea Search coordinators. And to get involved, you have to do a Sea Search Observer course. So you just learn how to fill out the survey forms, how to do a survey, how to identify the different habitats and marine species that you find. And then we organise dives specifically for Sea Search and get volunteers along. And yeah, we go to different sites around Sussex. At the moment, we're sort of targeting sites that are particularly important for kelp, because we've got a kelp project at the moment called the Sussex, let me get this right so I don't mess it up, Sussex Kelp Recovery Project. So that was established because there was a new bylaw that came in that excluded trawling from like a quite big nearshore area along the Sussex coastline, which is hopefully going to give the space for kelp to recover. We used to have really dense kelp forests here, lost about 95% of them since the 1980s. So yeah, we've been doing lots of targeted dives for that. And yeah, it's just a really great way for people to get involved with marine conservation. So, over the years, the data we've collected, it all goes into a national open source database, and it's been used to, help with the designation of the marine conservation zones around the coast. And yeah, it's just a fantastic way to sort of give meaning to people's dives, I think, sometimes, instead of just, going for a jolly, which is great. Yeah. But if you're going for a dive anyway...
So you can do snorkelling as part of Sea Search as well, can't you? You don't have to do the diving.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can snorkel, and you can just fill out once you've done the observer course, you know how to fill out a form, and it's the exact same process. Cool. Just snorkeling instead. Yeah.
Just one thing
so any dive
to do is do the Sea Search training.
Yeah, we keep meaning to do it, but we haven't found a date that works yet. But,
it's only a couple of times a year that the course is on, is it, or is it?
Yeah. So in Sussex, we run one observer a year, or one observer course a year in spring. So there'll be one next year. But they are run up and down the country. So, and a lot of them at the moment, I think probably still, a lot of them will be online. So, and all the courses are the same. They might, have regional sort of extra information about regional things you might find.
Yeah.
But in essence, they're all the same. So you can join any course around the country, especially if they're online, you can choose any of them.
Easy jump
in. So yeah, if you just look on the Sea Search website, which I think is just seasearch.org.
I think so.
But I want to double check that.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and there'll be a list of courses on there. And yeah, like I say, it's a really great way to get involved with marine conservation.
Yeah, we'd love to do it. We will do it at some point. We will get around to it.
So like us, you're in your earlier stages of your career, as I'll put it kindly. We're young people. Do you have any goals for your career, or where you're heading to? Or,
Dream job.
Dream job. Any plans for your career? What would you love to do?
I'd love to. I like, with the two roles that I've got, I really like that mixture of sort of being out in the field doing surveys and doing the sort of engagement and education work. Like, I think it's really important I think sometimes people see education, the engagement side of things, as a bit fluffy, a bit not as like hardcore, making a difference. But I think it's so important to educate people about what is out there, especially in this country. I just feel like the perception of UK seas is so by just normal people who don't really know anything about marine stuff. It's just that the UK is grey, it's boring, there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you start telling people about stuff and like showing them, mermaids' purses and cuttlefish eggs, they're like, what? We get sharks here in Sussex in the UK? Yeah, of course we do. It's just I really. So what was the question? Career. Yeah. So basically, I'd love to keep working in a mixture of sort of, that sort of more research, scientific side and the engagement stuff. And as much as I have enjoyed working and living abroad, I do want to stay in the UK. I think there's so much to do here. There's so much going on in the marine sort of realm in this country at the moment. I just want to stay here and continue working in marine conservation. I don't know what that might be. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm just kind of like focusing on the now rather than thinking about.
I mean, if you're enjoying it, then why not? Yeah.
Long may it continue.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you would give to somebody sort of like a student at the moment, or somebody like yourself that's trained maybe in a different degree and trying to get into this field?
Yeah, I think just try and get out and get as much experience as you can. Like if you can volunteer, then absolutely do that. I think that's really important. I know I've been very lucky in that I have at times been able to live with my parents, and didn't have massive rent to pay and had to get a job. Yeah. I mean, I've always had jobs when I've lived with my parents, but do you know what I mean? It's quite a privileged position to be able to like have your family support you. Not everyone has that. But if you are able to, get out and volunteer with your local wildlife trust, for example. There's always stuff going on. Just get out there and get experience, I think has been my sort of experience with it.
Because you learn so much from that anyway. Like you can go and do your degree and focus on something for 3 years, but until you're in the field and doing it, that's when you're actually properly learning, isn't it? So that's when you retain the information. And
definitely. And like if someone out there is doing a marine biology degree, do the extra stuff, join societies, like join the Environment Society, go out and when you're at university, you've got that extra time, haven't you, to kind of explore things and do extra stuff. So I definitely would use that time to volunteer and just like I said, get out there and get experience. I think it's really important.
Cool.
It's, as we said, it's a competitive field, so you need to be able to like what's the word I'm looking for? Make yourself
stand out.
Stand out, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
We got that. So I guess one thing, we're a marine technology company, and we know that you guys obviously use technology for your research, and we know you've got an ROV. Is there a piece of tech that you think has been game-changing for citizen science or just scientific research?
Or anything you're interested in?
Yeah, or anything that you think is just cool?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything sort of like, I guess like the ROV, anything autonomous and robotic is just so useful because it can get to places that maybe it's more difficult for us to be able to get to. It takes that risk away, doesn't it? And you can explore different habitats and you can find out so much more stuff than we've ever been able to before. Even like drones and being able to like count populations of seabirds by flying over a seabird colony.
Yeah.
Like that's so much more accessible now than how could you have done that before? Really.
There's like massive drones now that they can go up in sort of in the air, but they can also sort of be deployed in the water and take water samples and come back out, and they're so impressive.
Yeah. And one of my like dreams would be to go into a deep sea submersible.
Cool.
I just think that would be the coolest thing in the world, to like go hundreds of meters under the water and just see what was out there. So if anyone has a deep sea submersible and would like to take me on board, please get in touch.
We'll let you know if we come across anyone.
Put the word out.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, brilliant. So We always like to end our podcast interviews on a few fun questions. I don't think we've let you know these ones before, already, so I'll be a bit on the spot, but that's the idea.
Okay.
So first one is, if you were stuck on a desert island and you've only got one meal that you can have, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh my god, that's too hard because I love food. And I always have trouble in restaurants deciding what to eat.
Is it one meal that you've got to eat for the rest of your life? Or
the rest of my life?
Is that...
It can be that, or it can be you've got one meal before you die. It could be
phew,
as morbid
okay.
as that, but just it's trying to figure out what's your favourite meal, but
I know.
In a fun way.
In a fun way.
I do love Mexican food, like burritos and enchiladas and stuff. So maybe like a bean. It sounds really boring actually. Like a black bean burrito with but just really good with avocado and cheese and creams, sour cream and stuff, and rice and I love lime. Anything with lime and ginger in, I'm like, yes, give it to me.
There is nothing boring about that. That sounds amazing.
That sounds brilliant.
And then one question we do like to ask is, what's your favourite place in the UK? Maybe you've holidayed to, or a really nice beach. What do you reckon?
I am biased towards the Yorkshire coast. So I grew up in Sheffield, and so it's quite far. It's actually like about 2.5 hour drive to the coast from Sheffield, pretty much slap bang in the middle of the country. But yeah, there's loads of really awesome beaches in the Yorkshire coast. So we've got... So it's interesting actually because it's you've got the chalk cliffs there. There's Flamborough Head. And it's the same vein of chalk that you get down in here in Sussex, so it's quite a nice link. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for Yorkshire coast. It's really beautiful. I've never been. I'm sure lots of people would say Cornwall, but I've never really spent much time there. I really need to because it does look spectacular.
Me and Nathan look at each other like, yeah, it's lovely.
That's it. I'm a Devon man over Cornwall, I'm afraid. Cornwall's beautiful.
Well, again, I've never been to Devon either, so I can't comment.
Missing out.
See, I'm from Dorset, so I'm like, the Dorset coastline is beautiful. You'd have to go to all of them.
Yeah.
I know. I want to explore Scotland more as well.
Oh yeah.
I've not really.
I've still never been. Hopefully that's changing this year.
You're going next week, aren't you?
So.
Yeah.
Well, at some
Next
point.
couple
Like the Northern Islands, and I want to go to I've forgotten where they do it now, but where you can go out and see the basking sharks up there.
Is that the Hebrides? I know we do a lot of basking. Well, people that are doing basking shark tracking around the Hebrides, so maybe it's that.
Yeah, we've got quite a few of them around the South Cornwall and
yeah,
Devon
they do go into Orlando as well, don't they?
Yeah. I just think they're incredible. They look kind of prehistoric, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
They do,
It's so it's their mouths where they just the saliva.
Yeah.
Is it saliva that they filter the plankton through their mouths?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
It's really strange though when you see them with their mouths closed because they look completely different.
I know. When I didn't really, before I knew about marine stuff, in my head I was like, they can't close their mouth. They just travel around like forever. And then I saw a picture of one with its mouth closed, and it looks really funny, like big nose and
little pointy nose. Well, big pointy nose.
Yeah.
And then last question. I've got a hunch who it might be, just as because we've got similar backgrounds. But if you could have dinner with one famous person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh. I feel like you might get the answer of David Attenborough a lot to this question, which
With good
I would
reason.
love that.
Yeah.
But maybe him, but also Sylvia Earle as well. So she is American. She's like an amazing marine conservationist.
Okay.
She's quite old now. But she's done loads of incredible, advocating for the oceans. She does the, what are they called? Hope Spots. So she set up that kind of campaign for. I feel like I might be getting all the names wrong of the things that she does. But yeah, she's incredible. Look her up. There's a film on Netflix about her, I think.
Oh, cool.
She's done stints living underwater on like marine research stations underwater, and like, you know, she's a woman in science, and when she was like doing a lot of her work, it was when it was all extremely sexist and it was very difficult for women to get into the field, and she's just like a trailblazer. She's amazing.
Oh wow, yeah, we'll check her out.
Definitely, yeah.
Sounds cool. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But
well, that's all the questions we have. So thank you very
so much. Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been
thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been good. So we'll leave you to enjoy your Friday afternoon. But
one last question I've got to ask Ella. we love your background. Is it yours? Did you make it? I
did not make it. No, I think it's a like World Environment Day background or something. But I liked it because you can. I don't know if I was covering up the barnacles.
Definitely.
And they're like, I don't know if that's meant to be coral or an anemone or something. Yeah.
All right, I like it.
Cool. Again, thanks so much, Ella, for joining us. And
we'll see you at Ocean Symposium.
Yeah, see you there.
Yeah, great.
Cool. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.